Hello everyone, this is Health Highlights. Health Highlights is a show about health, health professionals and the people and the stories behind the names that we hear about but we seldom get to meet. And we've got a wonderful story for you today to hear from Phil Camden. Phil was more than just a senior pastor of Newcastle City Church. He was busy running so many things in his life. And in 2014, he had a visit with his GP that changed everything. He was diagnosed with a terminal condition called motor neuron disease, and he was given 2 years to live. But 4 years on, Phil is here and he's still going strong, and we wanted to talk to him about his story and his journey through MND. Thanks, Phil.
Thanks, Simon. Great to be here. It was 2013, actually.
Oh, it was 2013?
Yeah.
Oh,
but time does go fast.
It does go fast. Well, there you go. So, firstly, how's it going? Where are you up to at the moment, and what are the doctors saying about your condition?
Yeah, well, obviously, I'm not dead yet. They gave me at least 27 months to live, and I've outlived that. And the progression has been quite slow compared to many others I've met with motor neuron disease. Started in my legs. If it starts in the bulbar area, it tends to take you out a lot quicker because it's affecting your swallowing and your breathing. But at the moment, I'm in a wheelchair more than not, but I can still get around with a walking stick at home, which is good.
Wonderful, and you're looking well, I have to say. So.
Yeah, well, spend a bit of time in the sun when you're at home. So.
Absolutely. And so, can you just tell everyone what is muscular dystrophy?
Yeah, well, it is motor neuron disease,
yep.
And it's a disease that takes out the motor neurons in your body. Yes. And the motor neurons send messages from your brain and your spine to your muscles to allow your muscles to operate the way that they should. So even to move my arms like this, motor neurons are sending the signal to my arms to be able to move like that. When those motor neurons die, those signals don't get through, so your muscles begin to waste away and you become permanently paralyzed. Your lung is a muscle, so you're unable to breathe. Your swallowing is all done by muscle, so you're unable to eat. So it basically wastes away your muscle while you remain, your mind remains active and knows exactly what's going on. Yeah.
Okay. And let's go back to 2013.
Yeah.
So it was December 2013, wasn't it?
December 2012.
Well,
and then,
okay.
Yeah, going into January.
13. Okay. So, what was going on back then? What were some of the symptoms that you were having that was causing some of the problems?
Yeah, good question, because I've always been fairly physically fit, so yep. I'd run. I've got a 15-metre swimming pool, so I'd swim every other day. Living at Redhead, go down to the Redhead beach and run down there. And I found myself not able to run as well as I used to. I wasn't able to climb stairs that well, so I went to a chiropractor. They said, looks like you got a pinched nerve, so they worked on me for about 12 months and didn't get any better. Then I actually went to one of your physios, James, and he was giving me some core exercises, which both of us said, this should really help a lot. After 3 months, no improvement, and then he gave me another physical test, and he goes, I really think you need to get to your GP and maybe see a neurologist. And it was through that process that I had 3 neurologists test me, and all of them came up with motor neuron disease. Yeah.
And so you go to your doctor and they gave you a diagnosis that said this is what it is, yeah. And it's actually terminal. Can you maybe give us a picture of how did you respond to that news, and sort of what was the next few months like for you?
Yeah, well, it was devastating, Simon. I mean, it really was. When you're sitting opposite a specialist who says, hey, you've got motor neuron disease, 80% of the people die within 27 months and there's nothing we can do. What causes it? We don't know what causes it, and there's no cure. Then your whole world caves in, immediately, within milliseconds, you kind of, dark cloud comes and you kind of go, wow, where do I go from here? I mean, you're not even, I don't think you're even grasping the magnitude of it. And then it's over the next couple of months where the impact and the ramifications of that diagnosis, like no longer working and no longer providing the income for your family, and losing all of those things that make a man feel a sense of self-worth and significance, really. You're now at home going, well, I'm going to be dead within 27 months. What does that mean, to my family and to everyone else? So it was a time where I had to pull things together.
Did it really change your perspective on life and on what was important?
Yeah, absolutely. Really gets down to family, love, those around about you, and it really, I guess I had to draw in then a team of people that would go, hey, I love life, and look, I'm a Christian, I believe in heaven and eternity, but my attitude is I'm going to be there forever, so I don't want to get there too soon. Yeah. I might as well you've only got one life to live down here.
Absolutely.
So I want to live it to the full, and I want to make the most of the opportunity. So I then, after that dark period, I went and saw a counsellor, got some help, walking through this valley of the shadow of death, if you like, knowing that I used to be a pastor and counsel people, and then I just really felt, who do you think you are that you can go through this without getting help, when your whole work, my whole career was about helping other people through dark situations. So I knew, hey, I better follow my own advice and get some outside help. So I did that,
And look, I can certainly see that there's a change in your attitude. So was there a turning point where you can go, you know what, that was a significant moment that really helped me get through that dark time? Or was it just a gradual process of one thing after another that really helped you get out of that hole?
Yeah, I think it is a little of both. There is a process that happens every day where you wake up and you go, wow, this is a day I need to live to my fullest and breathe and be active and be in the now and in the present. So you're learning that every day. But there certainly was a catalyst when I received a letter that I had to give to insurance companies, my employer, and say, hey, Phil has a terminal illness. He's got 2 years to live, and that had to be printed and given to these people as proof of my diagnosis, and then the prognosis they wanted to know as well. So when I got that letter, it was like, wow, this hit me, But I really felt that, again, being a Christian, that the Lord had given me a visa, not a death sentence, and using that letter to go into the world of motor neuron disease and bring hope where there's hopelessness and faith where there's no faith, and just be a light in darkness. And so I think that was a turning point where I believe there was a purpose for me to have motor neuron disease. It doesn't mean that I'm going to have it forever. It doesn't mean that we won't find a cure or I won't get a miracle. But while I'm walking through this, I can be, hopefully, a bearer of good news to others. And
so you've obviously come to that place, and you've been now sort of finding other people who have got a similar condition, and giving out to them. How has that been over the last 2 years? Have you been really able to support and help some of these people that are going through the same thing?
Yeah, well, to be honest, Simon, it's been tough as well, because you see people who are further down the track than you. So you go into this world of motor neuron disease, you're looking okay because you're at the beginning of the journey. But you meet people who can no longer shake your hand. They no longer walk. They eat through a tube. They can't talk to you verbally. Many of them are on that journey, and a lot more advanced than I am. So many of who've become very good friends have died as an effect of the motor neuron disease. And it has been challenging, but also so rewarding, to go to people at the end of their life and to be able to bring some comfort and joy to their world through the message of hope in Christ and heaven and eternity is something that I feel is a tremendous privilege for me to be able to do that.
So good. That is wonderful. That is wonderful. And so now it's 4 years on, and what has been probably the hardest part of the journey, and what has been maybe one of the surprising parts of the journey for you that you can look back on and go, wow, that's quite amazing?
Yeah, I think one of the hardest parts, Simon, was seeing people die of the disease and the destructive nature of the disease. It is known by many GPs as a disease that they would least likely want to get. It's a cruel disease that can go very quickly from being a very fit physical person to being totally paralyzed and unable to do anything yourself. You can't shower yourself, wash yourself, you can't eat, and I've seen, a friend of mine who got motor neuron disease. He became a friend because of the disease. He was a miner, had tattoos and muscles, and he came in and we thought, man, we could harvest some of his muscles and try and use them ourselves. And he was dead within 18 months. And so the fast way that this disease can just take you out, and the process of that is really devastating. I think every time someone dies, it's hard, it's really a difficult place. But then I feel like because I have motor neuron disease and they have it, it gives me kind of an access into their world. And they understand that I understand as well, so I can hold their hand in the last moments of their life. Or, I've done 3 funerals for 3 who have died. They've asked me to do their funerals for them. So that's the type of impact it has. But that's probably the hardest part. And also the effect it has on your immediate family, like on your wife and on your children. Like, we were both pastors of the church, so she was employed as well as me. So it impacted both of our jobs, and certainly now our focus is around, making the most of every opportunity. And I think that's all we can do. You got to lean into the reality, and I think a lot of people don't. I think that's another change. Another change. I said, I can't pretend this is not happening to me. That's not faith. That's just faking it. Faith is saying, this is happening to me. But how can I turn what was meant for evil around for good? And I think that's real solid faith, when you can say, hey, as a believer, whatever happens to me, I'm trusting in God with this and in this situation.
Wonderful, that's great. And so what has been the greatest strength and greatest encouragement to you through this time that's kept you going day after day?
I think family, and before I when I got diagnosed with this disease, I had no grandchildren. Both of my daughters were married. Then my first grandson came along. He's 3 years old now, so you can imagine if the disease had taken its 80% course, I wouldn't have seen him. And then I've got another granddaughter now who is 18 months old, and another grandson. So 3 grandchildren, and every time I touch them, I hold them, it's like I might not have been here for this, and I may not be here next year for this. So it makes you value the time that you have, and also work very hard at staying here. So I have, I take a regime of tablets. I have 80 tablets a day that I just make sure my body is as healthy as it can. And my emphasis is in trying to keep the motor neurons alive that are alive.
Absolutely.
By keeping my body as healthy as I can.
Wonderful. That's great.
And I think that's easy. I think it's easier to prepare your yard so that the fire doesn't burn your house down than trying to put the fire out once it's burnt down. So I try and use that as a way, and I surround myself with key professionals. I have what I call Phil's team. So I have a physio, an OT, a GP, a neurologist, and naturopath. I have a team, a psychologist, so all of them I introduce, and they become my team, we work together on that, so.
That's wonderful insight. That's wonderful insight into keeping that temple really healthy and going. So last question. What would you say to everyone out there as a last comment to encourage them if they're walking through a particular issue in their life, or they've been diagnosed with something and it's tough, or they're going through a problem? What could you do in way of encouragement to them to keep on going? What would you say?
Well, I think there are 3 keys to my life, I guess, and those 3 keys are like, when you're at primary school, you had primary colours, blue, red, and yellow, and out of those 3 colours, you could make any masterpiece. The artist could come and grab those 3 colours, and from those 3 colours, secondary and tertiary colours come.
Yes.
Well, I believe that our life is like that, except we use faith, hope, and love as the 3 primary ingredients to our life. So one is you need to have faith in something. you know, and someone, and I put my faith in God. There has to be hope for tomorrow. You know, you have to create a level of hope by doing what you can. So I'm going, hey, I don't know if all of these vitamins will work, but I'm going to get involved in doing what I can and create a level of hope in my life that says I'm gonna beat this thing. I'm going to fight it with everything I've got and get a team of people around you. So don't give up. Get up every day. As hard as it is, get up every day. Because the first 3 months I wasn't getting up. You know, I had my motivation to get up was my work, my career, my vision for the future. When your vision is you're going to die in 27 months, what are you going to get up for? So then I had to work through that, and I say, just get up. Even if you've got not much to do, get up, get dressed like you got a lot to do, you know, and get involved in something that is going to take your eyes off what you're going through and put it on to something else.
So good.
And then faith, hope, and love. I think, you know, what is life without love? You know, you've got to learn to love God, love yourself. You know, because you can be becoming very self-harm. You can harm yourself. You can go, what did I do wrong? How did I do this? It's all my fault. You got to learn to love yourself and then love others. You know, and we can only do that to the degree that we've accepted the love of God for ourselves. So, for me, they are the key ingredients, because the reality is we're all going to die. Yep. We got no guarantee on tomorrow. Tomorrow may not come for any of us, but it may. So we've got to deal with the reality of death. And I believe once I dealt with my death, once I dealt with that and said, hey, I'm cool with death. Death has lost its power over my life. Then I can begin to live.
Wow.
And live more fully, you know. So I think each and every person, we want to stay away. We want to keep death on the horizon, but I think it's a healthy thing to bring it into the living room and go, wow, I'm going to die one day, and that could be hit by a bus tomorrow. You know, we've got people going to work today. I guarantee they won't come home. They didn't think they weren't going to come home. But if you deal with death and the reality of that, you'll learn to live life more fully and in the present. You know, don't worry about what's going to happen in 3 or 4 years' time, because it probably won't happen. By worrying about it, you're not enjoying the present.
Wow, look, that is amazing insight. I hope you really enjoyed that, because that is just some fabulous thoughts and insight from a man who has walked the journey, has gone through the valley and come out the other side. And look, we honour you for your words, for your courage and all that you're doing. We thank you so much for your time.
Thank you.
God bless you.
Yeah, thanks, Simon.
And thank you all for joining us. I'm sure that you were greatly encouraged and really inspired by that today. If you would like to follow Phil, he does have a blog that you can reference right there now at the bottom of the video. Thank you for joining us. We'll be here the same time, 12:30 next Wednesday. Healing is the gift, health the responsibility. Have a great week. See you later.
See you later.